Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. How are you guys doing out there? Is everybody good? You good? If you are good, put good in the chat. I am glad to see you. Happy Friday in this. I don't know if you're in California. Ooh, let me get my hat right because you know I like to have this hat right on, looking good, y'all. If you are in California, you are experiencing rain, correct? I'm experiencing rain because we're in California right now. So, y'all, hey, happy Friday to you. I hope you can hear me. If you can hear me, put yes, I hear you in the chat because you know it's always a challenge. Sometimes it's a little bit crazy too when it's raining because the rain knocks off everything, right? The rain just, it'll knock off your internet, it'll close, shut your phone down, it'll flood you out, it'll do all of that stuff. So, I'm just very glad to be here and to be able to share this Woman of Worth episode that I have for y'all. I appreciate you, Facebook. I appreciate you, YouTube. Thanks for being on. It means a lot for you guys to take your time here and be with me on a Friday night. So, but first, I want to get into a little bit of housekeeping because I want to let you know something is that the Nitty Grit is now going to switch and change the pace a little bit. We're going to be meeting. I'm going to be doing the show and having different people come on Thursday nights now. So it's going to be on Thursday nights at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So that's what's going to start taking place starting the month of March. I'm going to see how that goes and see if I will end up keeping it there. Fridays has been okay. It could be a little bit better. I actually would like more people to join on. And I've been told like, hey, maybe you should do it in the week, like, you know, when people get off from work or so. So I'm going to try that. So definitely next week actually starts the month of March, which means I will start having these shows on Thursday night. So please put that in your calendar. So y'all, tonight I just want to kind of get into it. I've been talking about being a woman of worth for quite a while now, and I'm very excited to share with you some information that definitely I have learned over the years and how it's helped me. So tonight you're going to get little old me again. Last week I was on by myself and I shared some tips with you guys. And so this is my second episode of sharing a few tips with you, ladies out there, that I hope will be helpful. Men, if you are watching, maybe you'll learn something too, but this is for the ladies tonight because I am a woman of worth advocate and I'm all about the ladies thriving and living the best version of themselves. So I want to take tonight and be able to give a little bit more and just kind of continue my conversation from last week. If you have not watched the episode from last week, please go back and watch it because it is going to really kind of like add to this one. But you don't have to watch last week to be able to get something out of this one. So I want to make sure I let you know that. Starting next week, y'all, many of you know that I competed in a pageant, and so I actually won my division. But next week, starting next week, I'm gonna have some of the ladies from the pageant, some of the ladies who won and are have their title that they are going to reign in this year, and then some people who did not win because I want to get perspectives from all of the people that participate in that pageant because the woman who did not walk away with the crown, it doesn't mean that she doesn't have something valuable to offer on these shows. And I just really want to be able to come together as a community and talk about our experience, talk about what we learn, and talk about how we are going to continue to be women of worth. So my next series will be called Worthy Woman. That's what we're going to just change just a little bit and go into Worthy Woman. But tonight, this woman of worth topic that I want to talk about is, I believe, will be key for you and very, very helpful. So let's go over some highlights from last week. So just to pull the people in that didn't get to watch. So last week we just talked about, we talked about some indicators of knowing when you're not living in your worth. And I'll go over worth again for you newcomers, just explain what I mean by that. But last week, just to recap, we talked about, different things that are indicators of us knowing we're not living in our worth, or, shall I say, distractions, things that are designed to kind of like move us out of from really living our best life. I know a lot of people say that. I like to just say the best version of yourself, because we're always continuing to grow. But we talked about the overachievers and getting a lot of their worth from their accomplishments. We talked about how, that's not really living in your worth, really, or getting your worth from your family, like if you have a family, or basically getting your worth from your career. These are indicators to know, like, okay, something, we got to make a little shift here, because if we're getting our worth from that, that's not necessarily helpful for us. Now, we can celebrate those things, but it can't be where we get our all of our substance. And we also talked about needing permission from other people, like codependency, relying on other people to confirm what you're supposed to do. We talk about procrastination, really not moving forward on things that you're supposed to go ahead and do. We talked about multitasking, which allows you to not be present. And we talked about making a commitment to yourself. Really saying, okay, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to follow through on it. So we talked about those things. But tonight, we're going to go a little further. And I want to just let you know, for those of you who did not hear last week, just what worth is and what I mean when I say that. So worth is a sense of one's own value as a human being. I want to make it clear, it is not what you value. It is you being the value. It is who you are. Okay. Which means that just who you are as a human being is pretty powerful and pretty amazing. But sometimes we don't see ourselves that way. And so sometimes that's why it's very easy to get our worth in different things that we do, or through different people that we know. And so that's something I really want to make clear, is that everybody understands that as a human being, you are so worthy as a human being. So let's jump into these tips that I have for you. So the first thing I want to talk about tonight is how to do what I call declutter the dust. Okay. I want to talk about decluttering the dust in your life. Now, I grew up in the country, so I love to play in dust and dirt. I loved it. But y'all, when it gets in your eyes, you can't see. You can't see when the dust gets in your eyes. It actually almost blinds you for a moment. You can't see. And it's gritty, so it is irritable as well. Now, dust is irritable. It can get yucky, like it's raining right now, so it can get muddy. And we don't like the forms of it. Nobody sits around going, "Oh, I want to sit out and I want to watch the dust just blow through." We're trying to get away from that dust because we don't want it to get on us, and we don't want it in our eyes, right? So I'm giving you that analogy because I think in life sometimes there's a lot of dust that happens for things that, gets blown our way. Yeah. So I want to talk about that a little bit. And I want to talk about how to declutter that. And what I mean declutter is get rid of. You start to clean house, start to sweep. We're going to sweep a little bit tonight. So I want to give you some forms of dust that happen in our lives. And I talked a little bit about this last week. A form of dust, a particle, these little bitty things that kind of get in our way, kind of like get in our eyes where we can't see clearly, right? Is when we decide to not be our authentic self, but we're going to adopt how somebody else rolls, or how somebody else does what they do, or copying. Okay, so this is a really big one. And I mentioned last week, imitation is great, but duplication is a problem. So copying other people. there's in the industry that I'm in, and I'm sure some of you may be in this industry too, as well as far as acting or singing. There's a lot of copycats. You know, people copy people's scripts, they copy people's movies. That's why you see movies. This is like, oh, I've seen this before. It looks just like that last one that I saw about this. Like a lot of copying, and you see that a lot when they do remakes. Remakes is a copy. That's really what it is. It's a copy. But as individuals, we don't need to be copies because we need to be individuals. That's why we have our own worth, because we are an individual. So we don't need to copy. But everywhere around us, there's a lot of copying, right? There's a lot of, remakes. No one needs to make a remake of you, and you don't need to make a remake of anybody else because you are an individual. So dust, that's a form of like allowing this dust to get into your space, and almost feeling like, okay, you have to do this, or you have to get this done. I wanted to explain, like, there's nothing wrong with having an idea that's similar, but when I'm talking about copying, it's like that you basically saw someone else's idea and you copied it fully as it is, or you snuck some of the highlights of it and made it your own. Like you may have reworded it a little bit where it can be your own. That's still a form of copying, because first of all, it's not your original idea. It's you crafting the idea from something that you received. So that's a form of copying. I want you guys to know that this is something that I truly believe, where people do not live in their worth when they're copying like that. So here's something I want to give you though. There is what I would call, me and a friend had this conversation. So there's a lot of things like, um, nothing's new under the sun. In a sense, what I mean by that is that there are people who are like-minded. There, you may have an idea that somebody else has just like yours. That's like natural. It happens. It happens all the time where there's ideas that are similar. But if the idea is similar to yours versus you actually copying, the difference, right? So there are ideas that are floating out there. The people are doing different creative things as the same, and that just happens. That's just like and it's because many of us are so gifted and talented that there's so much inside of us, and a lot of times we can come to a place where it's very similar to somebody else's. So there's a lot of like-mindedness out there. A friend, as I was mentioning, a friend of mine, we were talking, and she has a book that she's written, and I asked her for the title of her book, right? And she says, no, I'm not going to give it to you yet. And I'm like, okay, why isn't she going to give me this? I'm cool, I'm not planning on taking anything. And she explained to me that because people have similar ideas, so let me get mine finished and put it out there. And I really appreciated that, because when when it came down to the reality and the real nitty gritty, she and I have some similar ideas. We flow like that. It's very similar. So I decided for her first book, because this is her second one that she was talking about. For her first book, I decided I'm not going to read her book, because I tapped into like, oh, me and her, we're very similar. So I'm not going to read her book until I finish writing mine. So that's the discipline that I made for myself, y'all, is that it wasn't that I didn't want to read her book. It was that I knew we were like-minded. So I was not going to read her book until I finish mine. Okay. So does that make sense? Um, Sometimes you have to wait a little minute until you can gather what you're really doing and make it clear, so that you're not tempted to grab from somebody else. So copying from other people is a form and a sign of you not living in your worth. Y'all know what plagiarism is, right? So plagiarism, if you don't know, is the practice of you taking someone else's work or ideas, and passing it off like it's yours, right? That's what plagiarism is. I think there's a lot of people plagiarism. A lot of people plagiarism where we're copying each other. And I want to share this, and I'm going to talk a little bit more. Um, If you notice, there's a lot of people out there doing a lot of things that are very similar. I know that for coaching, I'm a life coach, as I mentioned last week. There's a lot of coaches right now. You know, it's like one of the highest paid jobs right now, highest paid gigs. So there's a lot of different things that people are offering, and there's nothing wrong with it, because I think it's good, because you know, a lot of the therapists are full right now, and if coaches can kind of help people get situated until they can get to a therapist. And when I want to make this clear, we're not substituting. We're just helping people get to a place where they can actually see that they need therapy. Sometimes coaching helps you to see what additional you may need. So we're not replacing or substituting coaches. I'm just saying there's a lot of coaches right now. And so they've been able to meet a lot of needs right now to really just help people to continue to live their life and continue to make some steps in their life. But you know, therapists, they have there's a whole nother ball game, and they're specializing what they do. So I want to make this clear that when a coach is basically helping you in something, don't look at it as that this is therapist, unless the coach is a therapist, because there's coaches that are therapists. So that I want to make clear too. Plagiarism, though, is when you are literally copying someone else. You want to be like that person. You want to do what that person does. You have their idea. You even dress like them. You actually have created your Instagram page to look like theirs. Your Facebook kind of is similar. You kind of like, you know, watch them, and you know everything that they do, and you're gonna almost be just like them. Okay, imitation is okay, right? But duplication is not. So here is how you know. And so since there's a lot of people offering a lot of service out there, because I want to make sure I explain that there is a, you know, getting caught up and falling underneath someone else's whirlwind. Okay. Getting caught underneath someone else's whirlwind, and how you know, you guys, and this is my next point of how to declutter dust in your life, because there's a lot of it. How you know who you should be working with and if you're copying them or not. You have to ask yourself these three things: why, what, and how. Why, what, and how. So if you are pursuing a coach, or if you're pursuing, you know, a mentor, somebody you're learning from, um, you got to ask the why first. You got to ask yourself, why do you want to work with that person? Okay. That needs to be very, very clear. Okay. This is a form of decluttering the dust in your life. So I want you guys to know that this is going to be helpful for you, because you have got to ask yourself why you want to work with them. You know, is it because of who they are? Some people like to work with people who are very well known in the world. Is it because of who they are? Is it because they make a lot of money and you like the fact that they make a lot of money and you want to make some money yourself? Is it because they have a similar pain point or a growth goal as you, and they either have overcome that pain point or they are thriving as a human being because they've overcome their pain point? Okay. Because sometimes, you know, it's really hard to see people's lives. Like we see a lot of people on social media. And some of you see my life on social media. Some of you see other people's lives. Sometimes you see a lot of what looks to appear to be a certain thing. And it doesn't mean that it's not. It could be exactly what you see. But it's very hard because you're kind of 1 degree separated from, because you're looking through the lens and through your phones and through your devices, and unless you're really hanging out with that person and they're in your life, you really don't know. You just don't know, so you take your chances, which is okay. But you have to ask yourself why you want to work with them, because that's going to be very important and very key for you when you actually take on having people in your life. You have to learn how to have good intuition too with people. like, listening to them really clearly about what they're talking about, listen to them really clearly about what they're dropping, because everything that's dropped is not necessarily for you, but a lot of things are. So you have to really listen very, very clearly. The next point I want to make about, how to work, who to work with. What are they offering? Okay. What are they offering? And do you need it now? Do you need it now? Here's where I want to caution you guys a little bit and give you this, because there were times I felt like, oh, I got to have this. I got to have it. No, I got to be in that. I got to be involved. And I needed it now. So here's the thing with having to have something now. Wanting something now isn't always good. Okay. The reason why is because sometimes we need to wait and think things through a little bit. Now can be tricky. It can be very tricky because it's a form of impulse, right? Now it makes you go and go, I gotta do it now. I gotta have it now. I need it. We say, I need it now. We have to be very careful because we have to remove, we're decluttering the dust. We have to remove ourselves from allow anything to kind of blow in our eyes and keep us from not seeing clearly, or like the debris that gets in there. I'm just giving you the analogy of what dust does. You got to allow yourself to really think this through. So here's my acronym for now, so that you can kind of like get an idea of what will be helpful for you when you are choosing to work with somebody or even do something. Your now, the first part of it, it needs to be necessary. It's a need. Like you literally really, really need it. Your life is counting on it. Okay. Necessary. That's something to help you to know your now. If you need it now, is it necessary? Okay. The second part of that is obvious. Is it really clear that this is going to help you grow? And you are going to really, really, really live out being, your own values. Okay. Is it clear to help you grow? And are you going to be living out your own values? Okay. The last part of that now is worthy. And I mentioned it just a little bit. Your values have to be in alignment. Okay. If it's you need it now, it needs to be in alignment with your values, like the things that are very important to you. Very important to you. So, for example, if you are taking a class, you go back to school, you go back to college, and you have a schedule for college, and your classes are going to be on these days. So you set that time aside for those days. If you're going to take on the responsibility to actually go back to college and and execute those classes, that means some other things in your life are not going to be able to get done like in the now. That means some things are going to have to be shifted a little bit if it's full time. Things are going to have to be shifted a little bit so that you can actually follow through on the commitment that you have for yourself to go to college and take these courses. Okay. So that has to be very important to you because you set out to have a goal to actually do this. That's where oh, I'm living in my worth because I actually went and did this. I signed up for it, so I'm going to do it. So that means, for example, if you know that you have to be in class at 8 o'clock, are you staying out to 1 a.m. at the club? Are you staying out to 1 a.m.? These are things to be very clear on, because what is happening with that mindset of like, oh, I'll stay out and I'll do all these things. You actually don't. You show up for class not in your not in your best, because you really probably only got 5 hours of sleep, because if you stayed out to 1, it took you time to get home, took you time to get ready for bed, to get yourself situated for the next morning. So this is just a little example of really going, okay, I got to think through what's important to me. This will help you with your now. Your now has to be in alignment with your value system. That's the W for now, the worthy part, like really understanding this has to just be in my value system and it has to be aligned. Otherwise, I'm not fully living in my worth. That's how you know. So that's my now acronym for y'all. Um, the next thing I want to move on to is that, I just want to recap here. I was talking about the what of what people are offering so you can be clear on what it is. Um, then I want to talk about well, first let me go back. Let me go back. Let me go back because I talked about why first. That's what I said. I talked about why. I'm gonna look at my little notes here real quick. I talked about why, and then I talked about what. So my what was just what I just said, the noun, the acronym. Does it fit in the now for you? And to be clear on what now means: necessary, obvious, and worthy. My next point that I want to talk about is the how. Okay. How does it help your life when you're trying to work with people? How would what they have to offer will help your life? And are you able to commit to it? Does it help your life? Can you commit to it? So, in essence, what I said about taking classes in college, the same thing is when you sign up for a coach or a group that you're going to be a part of. I actually attended a group for probably a year and 4 months. It was a self development group called Live Your Vision. And I really made the commitment for that. I knew the time that I was going to have to do it, and I made the commitment to it. Now, I wanted to finish in a year. I did not finish in a year. I finished in a year and 4 months, but I did finish it. I also took a coaching program for 9 months. I committed to it. I finished it. Now, sometimes life will get in the way, y'all. And I'm not talking about real life stuff. And y'all know real life stuff comes in the way and you have to go and take care of some other stuff. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about for you who are on here watching and you know that you need to set this time aside and commit to what you said you were going to do. That is what I'm talking about. So sometimes there are people in your life that can actually help you with that. But you have to be clear, very, very clear if they're your person. Okay. So the how is very important. How does it help your life? And are you able to commit to it? You got to think about the things that you're getting involved in. Is it going to help your life? It needs to help your life in the now. It needs to help your life in the now. It needs to be an agent for your personal and or your spiritual growth. You hear that? It needs to be an agent. Whatever it is that they're offering needs to help you in your personal life and your spiritual life. It needs to go together. So it's not like, oh, well, it may be able to help. That's true. But you want to make sure that this is going to be something for you that is going to help your life. We're talking about your life here. So you don't have a lot of time to play around with your life. So this is how you really declutter the dust. You got to really see, is it dust? Is it blowing in your way? Is it just and is it just kind of like a lot of stuff that you're just taking on, but you're not really able to execute it all? Like you're just behind. You're not able to really get it done for it. It may be that that's not the rhythm and rhyme for you. That may be it. I don't know. Only you know, because remember, you are a valuable human being. So you already have values, which means you already have some instincts and ability to really decide for yourself on what will work for you. So I want to leave you guys with that. I want to see check the comments over here and see if you guys are saying anything. This is something that I've been on a journey in my life with y'all, and it's very important to me, and that's why I want to share this stuff, because I believe as women we need to help each other continue to grow in this life. And if you're not growing and learning something, you need to be. And I'm just going to put that out. We all need to be learning something new. If you've arrived at your life, then I don't know what to tell you. because I believe as long as we have breath in us and as long as we're on this side of the dust, we need to be continuing growing and learning. So if you understand what I'm putting down, say, I get what you're putting down. Put it in the chat for me. Please put it in the chat. So I'm going to move on because I only got a few more minutes tonight. I'm going to move on to my second point here. And this, lastly, I want to just hit you guys with just to give you something that helps you to really, really get some ways of how to really tackle the essence of really living in your worth. I'm going to give you some pointers. Okay. We talked about decluttering the dust. So you have to do that first before you can really start stepping into really living your worth. You have to clear things out that is really clouding you up, that's not really benefiting you. Okay. I get what you're putting down. Thank you for putting that out there. I appreciate you. Anybody else put something? If you have a question too, please put your question in there because I would definitely love to hear any questions that you may have. Okay. But I'm going to go to we're bringing this thing home. We're bringing it home. Point number 3. Here's some ways to really live in your worth. And I want to give you what I call this little exercise to ace your life. Right. Okay. To ace your life means you're going to excel. You're going to excel. So here's another acronym for you because I love acronyms. Acknowledge your abilities. This is how you ace your life. This is how you live in your worth. Acknowledge your abilities. Know what you can do and what you cannot. Know what you can do and what you cannot. Okay. On the flip side, stop putting your life on hold when you know that you need to step into it all the way. Okay. This is for you people who know you need to make some moves and some changes and you ain't done it. You know you need to make some changes and you haven't done it. So acknowledging your abilities means that you're going to acknowledge what you can do and what you can't do, but you can do something. So if your life is on hold in any way, you got to do something about it. Okay. So some of you out there, like, and I've done this before. I've totally done this before. Some of you know what I'm talking about. You are great singers, but you ain't singing. Or you're a great actor and you're not acting. And I'm not talking about because you're not getting work. I want to make sure I say that. But you ain't pursuing it. That's what I'm talking about. You're good at these things, but you ain't pursuing it. You have like 1 foot in and 1 foot in your comfort zone. Your comfort zone or your fear. You have 1 foot in, like meaning, maybe I should do it. Maybe I want to do it. I'm not sure. Anytime you're like putting your life on hold, going, okay, here's a big indicator of putting your life on hold. I don't have the money for it. But we've been shopping online and buying a whole bunch of stuff that we don't need. We've been going to what do you call Starbucks and spending like that. We got to have our coffee every morning. We got to have it. But saying, oh, we don't have the money. And then you drive a really nice car, but you don't have the money. Or you live in a really nice place, but you don't have the money. You don't have the money up here. Yeah, you don't. And so what you have to do is really start decluttering like false myths. Really get to the point of really decluttering those false myths that you have about yourself. It's really fear in a comfort zone for you. That's really what's happening. So these are for my people who have 1 foot in and 1 foot out because they want to stay in a comfortable place. Or you're just plain scared. I've had that before, just plain scared, not willing to step out because I'm scared. But I've had to push myself. Last year and the year before, actually the year before was these have been 2 years where I've just like, I'm just going to go for it. I'm just going to put myself out there. Even what I'm doing now, being on here, is putting myself out there because I just got to go for it. I mean, how long do we really have, right? We just got to go for it. So those of you who have 1 foot in and 1 foot in your comfort and fear, just staying there, it's time for you to declutter that dust. It's time for you to start acknowledging your abilities and start moving forward. The second part of acing your life is cultivate your character. Okay. Start saying no to quick fixes. You don't need a quick fix. You don't need something to solve your problem right now. You need something that's going to keep you consistent so that you know how to figure out a few things and take care of things yourself. You don't have to have this person taking care of everything that you need to take care of. You need some assistance. If you need that, ask for that. Okay. But you got to start saying no to quick fixes. Anything that's going to give you a temporary solution is an automatic no. Start saying no to it now. They are temporary and they do not last, y'all. They do not last. So you have to cultivate the kind of character that you want things to help you for the long haul. It's like for me, I started studying the Bible. I've been studying the Bible ever since because that helps me for the long haul. I can easily go to a quick group where these ladies are teaching about the scripture, this one-time event, and I can go in there and get really excited about that event and zealous and woo. But that's only a one-time event. So what am I going to do when that event is over? I have to continue to cultivate my character, right? So I find things that are going to keep me being consistent with what I decided to do in my life. That's one thing you have to really, really consider for yourself. Cultivate your character. People, this is why, when people start things and they don't finish, it's because they're not cultivating their character. It's because they're not saying no to temporary fixes, quick fixes. So you got to start that. Also be aware of the things that get in the way of you becoming who you want to become. Like following through on your commitment. Okay. And I talked a little bit about this last week. Following through on your commitment is very important for you to do that for yourself because, y'all, this builds confidence in your character. It really allows you to be a person who keeps your word to things. It allows you to show up for yourself consistently. So when you make a commitment to yourself, go for it. Now, some of you, I remember last week we're on here and I say, if you need help, put help in the chat. And you put help in the chat, right? And then I said, okay, send me an email and tell me what you need help with. Y'all, I haven't got one email yet. But that's okay because I'm going to give you another chance tonight to send that email. If you need help, to send me that email. And that email address is info@chanteldenise.com. I'm going to give you another chance because you are the one who said you needed help. And so let me tell you, when you start putting yourself out there and saying what you need, you actually putting it out there to say, hey, I need some help. And so that's a part of committing to yourself is when you follow through on that help. If you don't follow through on that help, you didn't make a commitment to yourself. Okay, so you put it out there, but when there's no follow through, that's where you go. You didn't make the commitment to yourself. It is not to me, it's to you. It's to yourself. Okay, so y'all get what I'm saying right here. Okay, make a commitment to yourself. Here is what happens when you do not make a commitment to yourself. You guys, you are neglecting yourself. Okay, it's a huge neglect for yourself. So I want to tell you right now to stop. Stop neglecting yourself by not following through on your commitment. Stop it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Follow through and see where the follow through leads you. The follow through will probably lead you to some greater places in your life. Follow through. Okay. And then lastly, the tool for living a life of worth and acing and excelling in your life is educate yourself. Take the time to learn something new, y'all. Take the time to learn something new. If it's reading a book, go read a book. If it's a new author that's out there and they spark your interest, go and learn about them, right? Also, here's a big one. Educate yourself about yourself. Okay? Educate yourself about yourself. This is for all of you on here, but in particular for the people who actually live their lives through other things and other people. You need to start educating yourself about who you are. You need to know yourself a little bit better. Get to know yourself. My daughter did something that I want to share with you guys that was very cool for me, because this is a big one for me, educating myself about myself. um, I was not doing things for myself by myself. I always had to, like, was doing it with people. Nothing wrong with that. But one day I called her and I said, "Hey, kiddo, what are you doing?" And she goes, um, I asked her, could she do something actually? And she says, "Well, I can't right now." And I said, "Well, why?" She says, "Because I'm on a date with myself." And I was like, "What? You are?" Now, I didn't teach her that. She did that on her own. But what happened is she taught me to do that for myself. So this year, well, last year for my birthday was the first time that I said, I'm going to take myself to lunch. I don't want the big birthday parties. I'm going to just take me to lunch, and I'm going to get to know myself. And I was sitting there, and let me just tell you, I was discovering some things about me that was pretty cool. And so I want to encourage you, educate yourself. Stay educated. Like I said earlier, if there's somebody that's out there that you're inspired by, learn more about that person. But more than anything, learn as much as you can about yourself, because there are new things about you that are continuing to be revealed every single day. But sometimes we don't catch it because there's dust in our lives. So declutter the dust. Remember, if you want to ace in this life and excel, you got to really acknowledge your abilities, cultivate your character, and educate yourself. So, y'all, that is it for me. If you have any questions, please put them in right now before I get off. But I really appreciate y'all just listening to this. I do want to share in closing. I'm actually going to be doing something pretty awesome, and I shared this last week. I'm going to be doing my first Woman of Worth tour, and I'm really excited about this because what you guys just heard tonight is some of the stuff that I've been working on. I will not share all of this in my class because there's a lot of other things that I want to share with you. But this tour, y'all, it's going to be power packed with a lot of good stuff. And if you really liked what you heard tonight, I'm telling you, you want to be at my next conference. The first one is going to be on March 20th, and it's going to be in Brookshire, Texas. That is actually a free one. So for all my Texas people, you can come to that one for free. And if you'd like to, send me an email at info@chanteldenise.com, and I'll give you more information on that. The other one is going to be in Vegas on March 26th. More details to come for that one. And then last but not least, on March 31st, which is the one I actually have up on my website right now, I'm going to put it in the chat for you. You can register for this one today. This one is going to be in Los Angeles. I'm going to be coming together with a good friend of mine, the wonderful Shawnaway Brinkley. And we have one more person that we're going to be adding. I won't tell you guys that yet, but maybe next month you'll get to hear that in my next the next time I come on. But this is going to be a really great day of celebrating women. It is Women's History Month next month. So you want to be in the room. If you are ready to just get intentional with your life, if you are ready to clutter dust, if you're ready to ace at your life and excel, hey, y'all, come to this conference. I'm telling you, it's going to be good for you. And besides the fact, we'll be building a community together. It's so important for women to come together. There is too much out there, too much separation of women, and we need to be coming together, because I guarantee you somebody in the room has either went through what you've went through, or going through what you're going through, or maybe have some tools to help you with what you're going through. So there's so much, and you may be able to offer something yourself to somebody. We should not hold all of our good inside. We need to come together and let that stuff unleash. Okay. So there you have it. I hope that went in the chat. I just put it in there, my website in there. And then here's also the link if you want to register for the 31st. I won't say if you want to register, but I want to tell you to register, because I believe that you will have a phenomenal time. Okay. So there's the link there, right there. And then my next guest for next month is the beautiful Johanna. For some reason, it didn't go through. Did it go through? If you saw my link in the chat, tell me that it's there and you see it, because it's saying on my end that it did not go through. My next guest, as I was saying, is Johanna from the Woman of Achievement pageant. She is one of the winners for the pageant, and she's going to be rocking her crown. Okay, thank you, Shalare. She's going to be rocking her crown. So definitely, 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 you want to join me next week, because I'll start my series of having other people on, and they're going to be sharing their journey. And I truly believe these women, they're powerhouses. There's a lot that they have to offer, and you guys want to hear it, because I'm sure they'll drop down some. Not everything is for everybody, but you'll get something. So there you have it. Here is my flyer so that you can see the flyer for the Woman of Worth tour. There you go, right there. Can you guys see that? Can you see it? Say yes, no, maybe so. Can you see that? Okay, I think you guys could see it. I hope you can. But anyways, y'all, it's been real. I thank y'all so much for being on here, Facebook and YouTube. Please tell your lady friends about it. It's going to be amazing and exciting, and I'll keep showing you guys the flyers and making sure that you guys know about the event. But on the 31st, that's when Shauna Ray is going to be joining me. And we're going to tag team. And I'm telling you, you got the coach on this side, and you got the coach therapist on the other side. We coming with the real nitty grit, y'all. So you don't want to miss it. If you're ready to elevate and you're ready to grow, and you want some spiritual direction and some personal direction in your life, I would say be at the conference, because it is going to change your life. Guaranteed. I promise you. I ain't gonna even say if it may be possible. No, if you want to be changed and you want to come in and grow, this you'll experience that here. So thank y'all again for watching. I appreciate y'all. And as always, make it a good day, because you can. Peace, y'all. Thank y'all for watching.